Welcome to Animal DNA, our extraordinary expedition through the animal kingdom. We'll explore the unique traits and characteristics of animals of all kinds, how species relate to one another, and ways in which they survive and thrive in their diverse environments around the planet. And so our journey begins. Today, our show will be both beautiful and dangerous, as we will get to know the mighty bear. Bears can be found almost anywhere. In the frozen north and in the forests of North America, Asia, Europe, and South America. Bears, or Ursidae, are part of the Ursidae family of omnivorous mammals. They're large animals that eat fruits, roots, insects, and meat. Both diurnal or nocturnal, they have an excellent sense of smell. They have heavy bodies, powerful jaws, and are among the largest carnivores inhabiting the planet. Although somewhat clumsy in appearance, their sturdy bodies with short tails can run, climb, and swim as the situation warrants. Caves and large hollow logs are some of the dens they use, especially during the winter hibernation period, when they remain in a semi-dormant state that can last up to 100 days. With massive heads, a bear's rounded ears and eyes may seem small in proportion. Bears produce a range of vocal and non-vocal sounds, such as clicks, grunts, and snorts. Bears generally range in size from 8 to 10 feet in length and weigh between 55 to as much as 1,300 pounds in the case of the gigantic polar bear. Males are usually 20% larger than females. The 8 major bear species are popularly known as brown, sloth, Malayan, panda, polar, spectacled, Asiatic black, and American black. First, let's meet the American black bear, Ursus americanus. This animal inhabits the humid forest areas of North America, in 32 states of the United States, northern Mexico, and Canada. In the east, they are usually black with brown muzzles. In the west, its color varies and can be black, brown, cinnamon, or even light yellow. Along the coast of British Columbia and Alaska, there are 2 colorful forms of black bears, the whitish Kermode bear, or spirit bear, and the blue-gray glacier bear. It is estimated that in the 1500s, more than 2 million black bears roamed the forests of North America. Today, the number has dropped to only about 200,000. The American black bear is considered a medium-sized bear. The male reaches a height of 9 feet and weighs about 620 pounds. Black bears are excellent climbers. Their claws give them great grip, and the branches offer youngsters safety from predators. They're also good swimmers and will readily enter water in search of fish. American black bears are omnivores. Most of their diet is plant-based. They mainly feed on vegetation, including herbs, grasses, roots, buds, shoots, honey, nuts, fruit, berries, and seeds. They'll also eat fish, small mammals, and insects. Most bears become active a half hour before sunrise. Take a nap or 2 during the day, and go down for the night an hour or 2 after sunset. though some bears are active mainly at night to avoid people or other bears. American black bears are solitary animals, except for mothers with cubs. They mate during the months of June and July, and the cubs are born in January or February. Bears are adorable when they are cubs, but when brown or grizzly bears, known also as Ursus arctos, reach adulthood, they can be very intimidating. The brown bear has a coloration of varying shades, from very dark to light ochre and gray. The head is massive, with a broad forehead and elongated muzzle, rounded ears, and wet nose. It has a hump above the front legs. The feet have 5 toes with non-retractable claws. Generally, male brown bears are larger than their female counterparts. One of the subspecies of the brown bear, which is among the largest on the planet, is the grizzly bear, Ursus arctos horribilis, which inhabits the highlands of North America. It is a solitary animal, except during the salmon spawning season, when it joins other bears in streams and coastal areas to feed. Believe it or not, bears are related to the dog family by a certain resemblance that mixes characteristics of domestic dogs with wolves and foxes. Members of the dog family are exclusively carnivores, but most bears are omnivores, eating almost anything, from fruits, flowers, vegetables, and insects. Polar bears are the exception. They are the only carnivorous bear. Their favorite food? Seals. Although bears have good hearing and eyesight, at least as good as ours, it is their sense of smell that is truly extraordinary. Bears use their sense of smell to find food and to gather information about the world around them. A polar bear might smell carrion, such as a dead whale, from 20 miles away. We'll be right back with more animal DNA. We're back with more animal DNA. Let's see if you can answer this trivia question. What is the world's largest land predator? A. Tiger. B. Lion. C. Polar bear. D. Elephant. The answer is C. The polar bear. The biggest land predator animal currently alive is the polar bear. These massive Arctic creatures can grow to be over 8 feet tall. They weigh about 1/10 as much as a large elephant, roughly 1,300 pounds. Now we are going to meet the spectacled bear, Tremarctos ornatus, also called the Andean bear or South American bear. This bear is the only bear in South America. They live in the Andes Mountains and outlying areas from western Venezuela to Bolivia. The forests of the Andes are very different from the forests of the north. This bear's home is the rainforest and cloud forest. Although spectacled bears, Andean bears, or South American bears, also known as ucumari and jucumari, are medium-sized bears, they are the second largest land mammal in all of South America. Their markings are what really distinguish them. This bear's spectacles are like a pair of glasses, giving each individual a distinctive set of markings. No two animals have the same facial markings. These glasses are unique, in the same way that no zebra has the same stripe pattern as another, or no human shares the same fingerprints. Spectacled bears, Tremarctos ornatus, are not the only bears found in the southern hemisphere. There is another bear that lives below the equator. The Malayan bear, Elarctos malayanus, is the smallest member of the bear family, weighing an average of 100 pounds. It also has the shortest and sleekest coat of all bears, an adaptation to the warm climate of the lowlands where they live in the subtropical regions of Southeast Asia. Malayan bears are also called sun bears and honey bears, as the long tongue of this animal is perfectly suited for foraging for honey in beehives and inside trees. They enjoy the sun, but that is not why they are called sun bears. Rather, it is because of the pale orange-yellow horseshoe-shaped markings on their chests. In folklore, it is said to represent the rising sun. Another bear with very distinctive markings is the panda, Aluropoda melanoluca. Their black and white fur, with black eyes and ears, on a white fur face, have made these animals one of the most iconic in the world. Giant pandas are not quite giants when compared to brown or black bears, but even so, they can weigh more than 200 pounds. They live in the dense bamboo forests of western China. Their diet is limited. They only eat bamboo that grows where they live. It took biologists a long time to decide whether the giant panda was actually a bear or whether it was more closely related to the raccoon family. But thanks to DNA testing, the verdict is that the giant panda is a bear, which is related to the American black bear, brown bear, Malayan bear, spectacled bear, and also polar bear. Although bears vary in size, they all have strong bodies, powerful jaws, and are covered with thick fur. Including our friend, the panda. The Asiatic black bear, or Tibetan bear, Ursus tibetanus, also called the Himalayan bear, inhabits the forests and mountainous areas of Asia from Iran to Japan. It measures between 4 and 6 feet in length, with a weight of 200 to 440 pounds in the case of males, and about 200 pounds in the case of females, making it a medium-sized bear. Its mantle of black hair all over the body is longer on the neck, with a V-shaped mark on the chest, which is cream-colored. We'll be right back with more animal DNA. We're back with more animal DNA. Let's see if you can answer this trivia question. Which continent is not home to a bear? A. Australia. B. Asia. C. South America. D. Europe. The answer is A. Australia. Bears are not the neighbors of African elephants, or giraffes, or even rhinoceroses. And we also won't find bears in the neighborhood of kangaroos or koalas in their eucalyptus trees. So if you said Australia, you got it right. But you may be asking, aren't koalas a type of bear? Sometimes koalas are referred to as koala bears, but they are not bears. They are marsupials, pouched mammals, just like kangaroos. The word bear was probably linked to koalas because this animal looks more like a teddy bear than a real bear. But other than the fact that koalas and bears are mammals, there is no relation between them. But what about Antarctica? Did we forget the polar bear? Actually, no. While the polar bear is an Arctic bear, this mighty bear lives in the icy north, near the North Pole, and not in the south, where penguins live. You'll never see these animals together in the wild. Penguins live near the South Pole, while polar bears are the predator of the southern edge of the Arctic ice near the North Pole. The polar bear inhabits the top of the world, where there are also seals, walruses, Arctic foxes, and beluga whales. Polar bears spend most of their time on coastal land near open water and are solitary animals. Although we have seen how other bear species love the water, the polar bear is the true aquatic bear. Although they are terrestrial animals, in fact, their scientific name, Ursus maritimus, translates as maritime bear. They are extraordinary swimmers that can move through the water about 6 miles per hour, using only their front legs to move. The polar bear's front paws are like oars that allow them to move through the water quickly. The hind legs act as rudders to direct where they are going. They dive with their eyes open and nostrils closed. Polar bears can remain submerged underwater for a full 2 minutes. The polar bear's head is small, unlike the huge round head of the brown bear. Polar bears are born on land, but spend most of their lives floating on large blocks of ice, where they hunt seals. They swim from ice block to ice block. When the ice melts in summer, polar bears have a difficult time hunting, but they can live without eating for more than a month using their own body fat for energy. When polar bears are out of the water, they walk with their paws in an arc to keep their balance on the slippery ice. The soles of their paws are covered with fur, and as all bears are plantigrade, like us, they walk with their feet flat on the ground, lifting the heel and sole of the foot with each step they take. Perhaps the most surprising fact about the polar bear is that it is not actually white. Each hair is hollow and reflects light to make the bear blend in with the snow and ice. The polar bear's skin is actually black to absorb heat, and its long hollow hairs act as insulation. When foraging for food, polar bears tend to move slowly, but this does not mean that they cannot run, if necessary. They are the best hunters of all bear species because they are almost exclusively carnivores and must catch other animals for food. Instead of relying on fruit, vegetables, honey, or bamboo like other bears. Brown bears and black bears handle lack of food in a slightly different way. They hibernate, which also allows them to use body fat for energy. Their metabolism decreases, but their body temperature stays constant. They remain in a very deep sleep until winter is over and the vegetation returns to the forest. The salmon starts swimming again, and it's time to wake up. The sloth bear, Malayan ursinus, is mainly nocturnal and lives in the grasslands and lowland forests of India, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Like its relatives, this bear is also omnivorous. They are distinguished from other species of Ursidae by a V-shaped band of white hair on the chest and their elongated snout with a very prominent nose and lips. Their legs are curved inward with long claws for digging rather than for catching and tearing animals. Each of the bears we've met today is unique. All are worthy of our respect and attention from a distance. And with that, our journey has come to an end. See you next time on Animal DNA, where we humans decode all the secrets of our friends in the animal kingdom in order to learn more about them and a little bit more about ourselves, too.